So, my granddad tells me that you spent some time researching the history of Atticall. It's been a big sort of project for you with like the trust and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, what does that like research mean to you? What makes it important? Like, why do you do that research? Like, what's your drive for that?
I suppose because a lot of the history of the local area is lost and gets lost very quickly. And particularly because it is a sort of quite a remote area. The area itself is quite remote, and even the name itself is Atticall is the house of Cachal. That's the derivation of the word Atticall, Atticall. And Cachal, we think, was a monk. And that monk, we think, lived in this area. So you can see that it was an area of remoteness and, seclusion and, that sort of thing. Then a lot of people maybe... It wasn't trendy to be interested in history, I think more people are interested in it now. In the past, my mum was a great historian and talked, about all the different things about the area. But, so she gave us a love of history. And then I suppose, I had a very good teacher in school who also taught me history. So the history element of that was passed on down through, the generations, really, And then the other thing is when we come to build the Mourne Lodge over there, we called it Connachna. And everybody was saying, Connachna, what does that mean? Connachna is the mountain, the small hill behind us. And it means the hill of blood or the hill of meat. And it is associated with a battle. But nobody knew the derivation of it. And I had gone to the forestry and said to them, look, you have spelt the word incorrectly and you've put an English derivation on it. And, it's incorrect. And they said, oh, no, that's how it's meant to be. And anyway, but that is how our history gets lost. Connachna is a very important word for me, and people would say, no, don't change that name. Make sure you call it Connachna. I suppose one of the things I am trying to do is to take back the old place names, to take back the old, the roads, get them done bilingually, to make sure that it was a great history in this area to name our fields. We all had the fields, every field and every farm had a particular name, and that's being lost now. So those are the things that we still, want to do, to try and do that. And then we started a memories page as well and tried to go back as far as we could, with people telling stories about, what happened in the area, like maybe far back, nearly as 100 years ago. So we were able to do that, Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's really important work what you do, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a community that, given the size of it, of,
Yes.
being like around 100 and something people, it could
Yes.
be easily overlooked. And I think, it's imperative that like someone is doing this work.
That somebody takes a little bit of interest in it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I suppose my family, because my family are teachers, there's 6 of us teachers in the family, I suppose that is why we, it was sort of nearly left to us to do. People would say, oh, the whites will do it. There's a great sort of connection to Atticall. People like to be associated with it, and we've done a lot. One of the things that I did there recently was I did say, make Atticall great again. I borrowed a very famous line.
Or infamous even.
Or infamous, right. So we did a lot of work. We did quite a bit of work on that, and I'm trying to get people to be more interested in their community, and to give, to do things in the community, and it's good. There's a great community spirit about,
I mean, it must be working, I'm sat right here, for example.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
myself from Atticall.
I know.
But obviously my lineage draws back to Atticall.
Yes.
And I guess your work in some part has drawn me here.
Yeah.
So you can say it's working.
It's working. It's right. Yes.
So I've written here, what is the most unique thing about Atticall in your opinion?
I suppose one of the things that is very unique is the granite structure. the granite structure. It's a Mourne granite village, and I suppose then this beautiful stone walls, the really creative artistic stone walls that people do are absolutely amazing, fantastic. And so I think that's one of the big characteristics, is the stone. The stone masons. And then the other thing that I think is sacred and we should be preserving it is the Mourne Wall, which was done in 1922. And that's a sacred piece of structure, and we should be really caring for that.
That whole idea of like the stone,
yes,
like and the architecture behind just like infrastructure, like how these stone walls are sort of like everywhere. And I feel like having come from being born and raised in this sort of like pretty populated part of England, with this like just horrible like post-war architecture with these just like nasty brutalist like houses and just like buildings and these like very flat brick, and then you come to Ireland and you see like it's like a labour of love, and like you can see the detail. Like
there are different techniques in the stone wall. You have ones that use the small stone, then you have ones that seem to emphasise the colour characteristics of the stone, and then you have ones that use a tiered stone. I have kind of been looking and exploring over the last few years, and I think, that's a different type of wall. So there's a whole kind of, experience of stone walling that has been going on over the last 50 years here, and it's quite unique. The only other place that I know that I would compare it to would be the Aran Islands off the coast of Galway, where they have stone walls, and the farms are separated by small stone walls. So it's quite unique down there as well. But the Mournes, I'd say, are pretty unique for this stone walling.
So the question I've got for you is, it's a bit of a cliche one, but if you had to describe Atticall to somebody who had never been before in just one sentence, how would you describe it? Take your time.
A unique rural village nestled in an area of outstanding natural beauty in the heart of the Mourne Mountains, encompassing all the traditional values of 19th century Ireland.
Fantastic. You should do this for a living.
Or 20th century, should I have said? Is it 19th century would be?
We'll call it both. Thank you for your time.